Hello, and I'm so glad you're here. I'm Michael Butler, Beyond Publishing, Dallas, Texas, and I'm so honored to be back with Bernardo and you here at The Best You. I love what Bernardo's done globally. I've been following him for years, not only attending his conferences in Europe, in London, in the UK, but also in Los Angeles and Long Beach, and now virtually everywhere. So we help authors get their books out to the world. And more importantly than that, we help authors and speakers get their brand and their message out to the world. In the last 3 years, we've published 350 titles globally for authors in about 20 countries. And I got to tell you, my passion as an author myself, it goes back to being a child that stuttered. Kids made fun of me growing up on the farm. When I was 5 years old and started to kindergarten, I realized that even though I was naturally outgoing and gregarious, when I would open my mouth to try to speak in a social setting at school, kids would laugh and make fun of me. And so that caused me to become introverted. And the way I really overcame and started speaking again and found my voice 6 years later was through story. And I've always been fascinated with the power of story. I've raised 4 sons as a single father, and read a lot of bedtime stories, told a lot of bedtime stories. And it's just fascinated me how story drives businesses, brands, and entrepreneurs' bottom lines. Okay, so the first book I wrote about 5 years ago, called The Single Dad Survival Guide, did not have my picture on the front because I was dealing with a topic that affects men that are going through a divorce, and that is depression, anger, withdrawal. And I wanted to make the front cover a little more light, a little more carefree and fun, because what we're going through is not, even though my picture's on the back here. I had the same haircut then. But the Single Dad Survival Guide does really well around Father's Day and Christmas. But I got to say, men typically don't buy books. And so if you're writing a book, and we're talking today about finding your voice, finding your audience, and going bestseller and getting global distribution for your book, I will tell you 80 to 90% of the book readers in the world are women. So if you're writing a book for men, make it a gift book that women will buy for the men in their life, okay? So I've got a lot of free resources. Stick around. I'm going to give you about 5 resources. If you've been struggling to get your book out to the world and wondering what is the best title, subtitle, what is your message to the world, why do you want to write a book? I'm going to help you with that today. And the first thing I'm going to do is give you a free copy of my book, Bestseller Status, at bestsellerstatus.com. Just right there, bestsellerstatus.com. This is an 80-page book that's helped thousands of people write a bestseller, go bestseller, get global distribution, and go #1 on Amazon, because what it will do is help you understand and know who your avatar is before you ever put a single word to the paper. Does anybody write words on paper anymore? Before you ever type a paragraph into the computer, you're going to know who your avatar, who your target market is at bestsellerstatus.com. Go grab a copy now. I'm going to take you through here because there's actually some great things here. And I'm going to say, why do you want to write a book? In fact, I'm going to give you some writing tips on this webinar today, about what time of day to write is best, how to find your inner creative. It's like going to the gym. You start getting excited once you get used to it. At first, it feels like work. You go home with sore muscles, but you start looking forward to it because of the endorphin release and because of the way it makes you feel. And the mind and the subconscious begins to associate going to the gym with wellness and well-being and endorphin release. Now, according to Bowker, 90% of self-published books never sell more than 200 copies. So I'm going to talk to you today the difference between hybrid publishing, self-publishing, and going with the traditional publisher. We've already decided that your target market is probably women, but we're going to drill down deeper than that. And here in Bestseller Status, we talk about writing the book, marketing the book, and getting global distribution for your book. And I like what Abraham Lincoln said. He said, if I had 6 hours to chop down a tree, I would spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. So we're going to get very sharp, very laser focused here to get your book out to the world, because, you know, some people just want to mark it off of their bucket list that they wrote their book, they wrote their memoirs, and left their life story to their kids and grandkids. But others want more than that. They want speaking gigs. They want more coaching gigs. They want more traffic to their website. They actually want to get interviews and podcast interviews on the media and on online with influencers and podcasters and things like that. So if you're looking to gain credibility, sell books, charge more for coaching services, this is the right place to be. Now, this is one of our clients, Forbes Riley. She's done $2.5 billion in home shopping sales, and she came to us to expand her reach. She had published before, first self-publishing and publishing with another publisher. But, you know, it's like this. If you put up a digital billboard on a deserted island, nobody's going to respond. And so it's about traffic. It's about lead generation. It's about book sales. It's about raising your fees for coaching and consulting. If you want credibility, I say, put your picture on the front of the book, you know? And if you're like me and you've got a face for radio, put your picture on the front of the book anyway, because my first 2 books, I didn't put my picture on the front of the book, but on the Speaker's Edge, my picture's on the front of the book. I tell authors all the time, if you want to become famous, if you want to become a guru, if you want to become an expert in your niche, the Speaker's Edge, turning your part-time passion into your full-time speaking career through public speaking and Zoom meetings, the Speaker's Edge is the book you want to get. But notice I'm establishing credibility here. Notice I'm doing the power pose, and these are actually real people. They're not just cropped in. I'm actually speaking on the stage in San Antonio, Texas at Daniel Gomez's event. So speaking of Daniel Gomez, here he is on Sticker Shock. And I said, let's put this, we published Sticker Shock. And I said, we got to, in fact, the funny story, don't tell him I told you this. He was in a blue shirt here. So we can do that. Yep. And yes, I'm growing a beard. No shave, fall. For me, I'm growing a beard. I know, I'm just going to play with that. But we can actually change it. We actually may change this as well. So if you want to be famous, quasi-famous, nobody knew who Kiyosaki was before, or Mark Victor Hansen was before, or who Simon Sinek was before, until they put their picture on the front of the book cover. So get your mugshot out there, get your face out there, because branding, it's all about branding. Seth Godin, click on my head. And so why do you want to write a book? Credibility, right? So how do you determine if there's a demand for your book? Well, I would say if you're a coach or a consultant, that you want to stand out. You want to be different. You don't want to just create another Me Too product. And we know the Publishing Institute says that publishing a book, launching a book, for a real estate agent, for example, can increase their referral dollars by 194%. If you're a consultant, a book can boost your revenue by 380%. And if you're a public speaker, a book can boost your revenue by 219%. So those are some pretty staggering numbers from the Publishing Institute. I would say know who is your target market. You know, speaking of putting your name, putting your face on the front of your book, here's Charlotte Frost. We just took her #1 on Amazon, and she's an attorney, and she said, this is the book I wish I had 30 years ago when I graduated from law school, because this book, and it needs a bestseller sticker on here, logo on here, because it's gone #1 on Amazon. It's endorsed by Dow Chemical. It's endorsed by attorneys all over the country. This is the business book for women that want to excel and make the most money in their field, because women, there's about 50% women that are graduating from law school, but they're only making about 15 or 20% of the money overall as partners in these law firms. And so she shows women how to gain power at the table. Her next book is called Money at the Table. And then her third book is about negotiating skills for female attorneys. Very niche specific. The more niche you can get with your book, the better your book can sell. So if I'm a real estate agent, if I'm an insurance agent, if I'm a consultant or a coach, and I want to establish credibility, I'm going to launch a book, because I'm going to do a chapter on credit repair. credit repair during the pandemic, if I'm a real estate agent or mortgage lender or even an insurance agent, how to stage a home, how to hire and fire a real estate agent, how to negotiate, location, location, location. The more practical tips, and I'm jumping around a little bit here, but diving deep into the guts of the book. So basically, here's what happened. If somebody's going to buy the book, say Sticker Shock Speaking Academy, the first thing, Sticker Shock, the day you realize you're worth millions, leveraging confidence for sales and business and in life. So that's kind of intriguing. We open the back cover and we realize dress for success, prospecting that works, how to get endless referrals. All of a sudden I'm intrigued and I open up the chapter and I read the table of contents. Once I do this, the reader is 80% likely to buy the book. By the time they turn to chapter 3 here, they're 90% likely to go to the front of the store and buy the book. So that's the process. So if we're going to get readers to buy our book, if we're going to get more speaking gigs as a result of our book, featuring that we are a speaker and that we do have amazing clients like the Air Force, like the Dallas Cowboys, like Texas A&M and people like that, that's one of the best ways to get more speaking gigs and getting on more stages and establishing more credibility. Because if I walk into a chamber networking or after hours event and there's 8 insurance agents there, but I'm the one with the book, guess what? I'm the one that gets hired to come speak. I'm the one that gets the business, because people do business with those they know, like, and trust. And you got a book, they're not going to throw that away. That's a digital business card. Now, if you're doing children's books, and we have actually the #1 selling children's series in North America called the Harry Moon series, and we've sold about 500,000 of these books, and it's been endorsed by Disney, and we're translating all over the world now. Totally different strategy for children's books over, see, this one's in, we're doing English and Spanish, so that one is in English. Some of these are in Spanish already, so check it out. We got the Disney endorsement right there, so it's pretty exciting. And so I'm going to give you a way to reach out to me. So I'm giving you the free book bestseller status. I'm going to let you get on my calendar, but also I'm going to tell you about a writing group we have. If you've been stuck in the script, the manuscript, stuck in the story, as I call it, because I'm going to tell you, 70% of books globally that are purchased, not only are 80 or 90% of the buyers of books globally women, 70% of the books that are purchased globally are fiction. That's right, they're romance novels. Romance novels outside of the U.S., that's what people are buying. If you're wanting to write a book in this space of self-help, personal development, faith, and memoirs, you're looking at a 30 to 40% piece of the pie globally. So you've got a smaller target than with fiction. But I'm going to tell you that when it comes to nonfiction books, how-to books outsell memoirs and poetry 10 to 1. So let's say you've got a story. You've been through a bankruptcy, a divorce, a car wreck, or lost a business, or lost a child. It's tragic, it's traumatic, but memoirs really don't sell. Now, if you're wanting to make a point, you can still tell your story. You can still embed your story, but let's do it in a how-to book. 5 pillars of truth you learned on the road to recovery. 4 things you discovered. These 7 secrets. Let's embed your story into that, because we can sell a how-to book all day long. Memoirs and poetry, they don't really move. So let's decide where your voice is, what your message is, who is your message for. 40 years ago in Ukraine, Chernobyl happened. Perhaps you've seen the movie. I'm actually old enough to remember it. I was 12 years old at the time. The author, Anya G., was just 8 at the time, and she was sent home early from school that day in Poland, and the kids were given a distasteful, nasty elixir to drink that was supposed to rid their body of the toxic chemicals that Chernobyl exposed to the region. Well, years later, in her 20s, she was diagnosed with painful endometriosis. Now, as she began to study this topic of endometriosis, she began to realize that 176 million women globally in their 20s, 30s, and 40s are diagnosed with endometriosis. Many women are prescribed surgery to have their uterus removed, giving up all hope of having their own children. Anya began to research and do her reading and her due diligence and realized there were a lot of medical textbooks on endometriosis. There were a lot of women that had written about the pain in their memoirs, cursing, angry, and embittered turmoil and pain. But there weren't any books that she could find on how to naturally treat and how to positively overcome endometriosis. Alone in the Crowd was born in her mind. So that day we decided to begin to help her ghostwrite the book. She's done really well with that book, and it's opened doors for her. Living Well with Endometriosis, Alone in the Crowd by Anya G. Opened doors for her to speak in Europe, in Canada, and the US. Now she's gone on to get advanced medical degrees, like from the School of Integrative Nutrition in New York, and she continues to speak and coach and consult women on health and wellness, particularly in the area of natural wellness and endometriosis. So what can a book do for you? Let's identify through the law of supply and demand who is your target market, and let's write to them, because you see, before we put a single word on paper, we want to do our market research. Her avatar was a woman globally in her 20s, 30s, and 40s living in pain with the pain of endometriosis. The book did really well. Now, some people say my book's for everyone, and I'm going to say your book is not for everyone, because if your book is for everyone, your book is for no one. The more niche we can get, the more niche, the more rich we can get. So let's drill down into the niches. Let's find the underserved area. And if you're a financial advisor, a business coach, a pastor, a therapist, a chiropractor, and you're wanting to bring new customers in the door, let's look at the services that you're already monetizing through a vertical that you can sell. And it's just a matter of getting more people in the door. I always like to ask as well, with your coaching and consulting business, if you can take on clients globally, or is it geographic specific? Because if it's geographic specific, that's okay, but maybe the goal of the book is to motivate and to inspire and go to a website. So we have to ask ourselves the question, what is the goal of the book? Maybe it's just to get a new subscriber to your podcast. Maybe it's to get a new YouTube subscriber, and that's okay. Maybe the goal of the book is to get somebody to write a review on Amazon and refer your book to 5 of their friends. That's great. Ask for it or you'll never get it. In every chapter, make every chapter a standalone chapter of a vertical that you're already monetizing, be it a workshop, be it a keynote, be it a podcast, or be it an interview series or a platinum coaching program. The more practical you can make your book, for example, Daniel Gomez, Dress for Success, Hiring and Maintaining Millennials, How to Be a Closing Machine, The Human Touch, Sell the Sizzle, Buyer's Remorse. So this thing with Dress for Success, this is powerful. I remember The Human Touch, chapter 9 here. I shared the first week of the pandemic back in March. Very, very powerful, practical takeaways to your business. If you can show a business how to hire better, how to retain talent, how to improve morale, how to marketing specifically to HR managers, sales managers, or to CFOs, know exactly who your book is for. Maybe retirees, military vets, people coming home from the service, first responders with PTSD. That's a great vertical. That's an underserved area. What about marrying again, improving credit, launching a business, getting funded? The more specific we can do. And I'm going to give you how to get on my calendar. MeetMichaelD.com. I told Bernardo I would do this because I love the Best You family and the community and everything that he stands for in this space. I really respect him. We charge for this normally, but I'm going to give you a 30-minute consult with me personally at meetmichaeld.com. You can jump on my calendar. You might have to wait a week or so to get on my calendar, but meetmichaeld.com. I would be happy to talk with you about your book idea. I would be happy to review for you your cover, give you feedback on your title, subtitle, chapter titles, and then also give you some key insights onto launching the book. And we may or may not be a good fit. We are a hybrid book publisher, which is different than a traditional publisher. And I'll give you the difference here in a minute between those three. So meetmichaeld.com. Now, if you've been stuck with trying to write your book for 6 months or 2 years or more, you're going to want to check out writebook60days.com, because at writebook60days.com, we have an online course where for 8 weeks, we take you through the practical aspects of identifying who is your target, how to come up with a title and a subtitle that sell, how to generate chapter titles that really sell and over deliver, selling the sizzle to the steak and creating the brand that you're looking for online. We actually, the testimonial since the pandemic, because we've taken about 50 people through this course, and 70% of the students that have gone through these 5 courses have completed their 70 to 80% of their book by the 8th week. And so what we're seeing is a few months later is about 80% of the students that have gone through this course are actually publishing their book and getting on stages. So the information we teach is very practical and actionable. If you can commit to an hour a week online with the group and then an hour a week to do your homework. And we've been teaching this course for 5 years, and we normally charge $897 US for it. And I'm providing it for Bernardo and the Best You absolutely free. The caveat is the first 7 people that sign up are free. So the next group is starting soon. Go to writebook60days.com. Go ahead and sign up. Don't miss out and commit to 8 weeks. We're going to help you knock this book out together. We show you how to, when it's taken you 2 years to write a chapter, we show you how to write a chapter in 20 minutes. All the ingredients you need that need to be in a chapter to make it a sellable chapter, to make it a sellable book. And then we help you organize those chapters, write the back cover summary, and how to get joint venture partners to actually help you launch the book properly. And I would like to say this on the writing tips. What have you done the last 30 years? What can you monetize now? What is your low-hanging fruit? You see, a lot of new authors will try to put everything into a book because they're concerned they don't have enough content. And I'm going to tell you, the human brain and the human spirit are amazing. You have more than enough content. That's the mistake most new authors make, is they try to put all the content into that first book to try to create a 300-page book. That's not necessary, and it's not wise. You might have 2 or 3 books, and that's okay. Let's launch the first one first, but let's have a strategy around book 2 and book 3. So go ahead and jump on my calendar at meetmichaeld.com. Let's talk about your book, and then let's get you speaking on the stages of the world. And we do have a speakers bureau. I'm going to share it here with you. You can submit a profile, and if you're accepted, somebody from my team will reach out to you, and we'll set your profile up. But go ahead and give us your topic. Your category, what is your current pay rate as a speaker? Our average speaker gets $5,000 an hour to speak from stage, and our top speaker makes $80,000 an hour to speak on stage. So if you want to be a paid speaker, or if you're wanting to take your speaking game to the next level, we actually advertise this site to event coordinators, meeting planners, and associations around the area of motivational speaking, leadership speaking, educational speakers, technology speakers, medical speakers, and very niche specific speakers in the industry, not just in the US, but globally. And finally, I'm going to tell you about, if you're an author and you've written a book before and you're wanting to relaunch it to get broader distribution, or within the next 24 months you plan to launch a book, I want you to go to authorredcarpet.com, because very simply, 90% of your book success is not the writing of the book. I know writing can be the hard part, but really that's the first part, but it's only about 10% of the importance, and it is marketing the book. And we have a TV studio in Dallas, Texas, that every month we get together in downtown Dallas, overlooking the Lyndon B. Johnson Freeway, 10 stories high, looking over the Dallas skyline. It's a beautiful shot when you go to authorredcarpet.com. See when our next date is, and you're actually gonna fly into Dallas, bring your book with you, be recorded in the studio, or bring a faux copy of your book. Me or one of my staff, one of our models, one of our co-workers will interview you and talk to you about the book that's coming out and launching, and create the sizzle reel around your book, which is something you need. So you get on stage in the Oprah studio and we record the sizzle reel. We professionally produce it with the subtitles in the lower thirds, establishing your credibility. You're going to put that on your website. We're going to host that on your website, push it out everywhere. And also it'll be on globalelitespeakersbureau.com, where we'll be marketing you and your book to the event coordinators and the meeting planners around the world at authorredcarpet.com. Now, for me as a writer, what's helped me the most when it comes to writing tips is writing in the morning, writing at the same time every day, 7 days a week. My morning routine is basically I get up at 5 or 6, I go for a run, I go for a jog, have my meditation time, my quiet time, and then I get in front of the computer after I've had some coffee and done my stretching and my exercise, and I write for half an hour. I turn it on for 30 minutes and then I turn it off, because I could go on, but I need to start my day and start working. That's my MO. That's my method. That works for me. Other people like to write late at night. We've had authors write books in 14 days and 60 days and 90 days. For me, the sweet spot, and I wrote The Speaker's Edge actually in about 30 to 60 days. And I write every day, 7 days a week. I get into the habit, just like going to the gym, exercise and muscles, muscle memory, neurotransmitters going from either hemisphere of the brain, and my synapses are firing all the time. And so I'm always thinking, I'm always listening to podcasts. Speaking of podcasts, check out the Publisher podcast right here, michaeldbutler.com/podcast. I interview people from Hollywood, screenplay writers, actors, people in the literary world, best-selling authors like Mark Victor Hansen. Chicken Soup for the Soul sold 500 million copies, on his way to sell 1 billion copies, be the first human to sell 1 billion books in our lifetime. David Kirkpatrick, the former president of Paramount Studios. I dive deep on this podcast and the different aspects of publishing a book, getting global distribution, and how to interview publishers, how to hire an agent, the difference between traditional versus hybrid publishing versus self-publishing, how to know which one is right for you. And with that, and in closing, I want to talk about which type of publishing is right for you. Have you ever wondered if self-publishing, hybrid publishing, or traditional publishing is right for you? Well, if you're an author and you've written a book and you're shopping around for publishers and you're saying, should I hire an agent? What is a query letter? You know, who keeps the rights when I publish my book? Will my book go into bookstores? How much will my book cost? How do I know how to distribute my book? How do I order copies of my book so I can sell at my speaking events? If you've ever asked yourself that question, this segment's for you, where we ask the question, what type of publishing is right for me? Now, you've written a book and you're ready to bring it to the world. Or maybe you've hired a ghostwriter and a ghostwriter is writing your book and you're about ready to bring it to the world. When do you start shopping for publishers? Well, there's one of 3 ways you can get your book out to the world. You can self-publish, hybrid publish, or do traditional publishing. I'll give you the pros and cons of each, because one size certainly does not fit all. It doesn't matter if you've written fiction or nonfiction. This applies to all types of publishing. When you self-publish, that's where you do everything yourself. That is, you're going to put your book, your ebook, your audiobook, and your hardcover up on Amazon yourself. Now, you're going to watch a lot of YouTube videos to try to figure out editing, cover design, hiring a cover designer, how to do a substantive edit versus a professional line edit. And then you're going to ask yourself the questions, how much do I charge? How do I upload it? How do I do an EPUB conversion? How do I do interior design? All of these questions that you're going to be a couple hundred hours in, and hundreds, even $1,000 or a couple $1,000 in expenses invested into self-publishing. You're going to own all the rights. That's a plus side, but you're not going to get distribution beyond Amazon. Now, according to Forbes, Amazon is about 55% of the world's book sales. And it's an important number to know because 76% of books in English are bought and read outside the U.S. So when it comes to readers, if you're really wanting to sell your book in English and in the U.S., 85% of college graduates in the U.S. never buy or read another book. So if you want distribution beyond Amazon to reach readers that aren't in the U.S., you want to think about publishing beyond Amazon. There are literally hundreds and thousands of other sites where books are sold globally beyond Amazon. Traditional publishing works like this. You make a phone call to a New York publisher and you call them again and you wait for a call back. Because you see, unless you have 2 million fans and followers on social media or have your own daily TV show or A-list name brand recognition, they're not going to call you back. And even if you are a politician, an A-list celebrity, or a pastor of a mega church, and they call you back, you're not going to want to sign that contract, and I'll tell you why. It's because they're going to own the rights. It doesn't seem fair, right? You write the book, they own your intellectual property, and not just for now, but for life. You can never repurpose a single chapter of that book you wrote anywhere on a blog, and forget TV, movie, licensing, and gaming rights. They own all that too. The reason people like going with traditional publishers is they get global distribution. Well, what if you could get global distribution and still maintain your rights? Well, that's hybrid publishing. But before I tell you about hybrid publishing, let me finish telling you the pros and cons of traditional publishing, okay? Traditional publishing, they'll take about 2 to 3 years to bring your book to market. You'll have no control or veto power over the cover or what the interior design of the book looks like. You're waiting on them to do everything. They're only going to pay you about 7 to 15%. Okay? Now remember, they own the rights. Then you're getting global distribution. Some people like to go traditional because they get an advance. But did you know the advance is really just a loan against your future royalties? That's right. Read your contract, read your fine print. And if you're looking to hire an agent, well, your agent's going to get 15% off the top. Most authors that signed a traditional publishing deal and get an advance never see a dime of royalties on the back end. That's all the money they ever. And the reason traditional published authors keep doing traditional published off, because they always have to work toward their next advance. Enter hybrid publishing. Hybrid publishing is a model where you own the rights. It has all the pros with very minimal cons of going traditional or self-publishing. You own the rights. You keep the lion's share of the royalty, and your book typically is brought to market a lot quicker. I can speak for Beyond Publishing. We bring your book to market within about 4 weeks after you bring us the manuscript, regardless if it was ghostwritten or you wrote it yourself. We do the professional line editing. We design a world-class cover design. We set up your ebook, your audiobook, your hardcover, and your paperback into global distribution within about 4 weeks. We can take you number one on Amazon or other platforms and get you speaking, get you interviewed, get you in the news. With you keeping the lion's share of the royalties, you owning all distribution rights, including film, televisions, licensing, and gaming rights of anybody that picks you up. And you can leave at any time if you're not happy. There's no long-term contract. You get started with us as a one-time author, minimal investment, but you make that back quickly by selling 500 books, and we help you sell those 500 books. Not only that, we're going to give you books at our cost that you're going to sell for retail. So a book like this that's going to sell for $20 hardcover, you're going to get for about $4 to $5 a piece from us when you go out and speak and do your own events. And I don't really know of any other hybrid publisher that's doing that. You can check, but we certainly haven't found any. And go read our Facebook reviews. Check us out. See what you think. Talk to people. We'll give you a list of clients you can speak to that we've been able to help for the last 3 years in getting 350 books out the door and into global distribution. So it's certainly been a lot of fun speaking with you today. Jump on my calendar. Let's talk again at meetmichaeld.com if you've got a book idea. We'll tell you what we think. And you know what? We're going to shoot straight with you. Our agreement is simply 2-page agreement. It's in black and white, what we do for you, what we deliver, getting you at Target.com, up on Walmart.com, BarnesandNoble.com, Borders, chapters up in Canada, selling globally at IndieBound Books and hundreds of other sites, and pushing you out through our podcast network, and then giving you a chance to be on the red carpet at authorredcarpet.com. I want to thank you very much. Big shout out to Bernardo and the Best You. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm traveling in Asia right now, or I would have been with you personally. Thanks so much for allowing me to be here virtually, and I love what you're doing, and I'm right here in Dallas, Texas, so let's meet up and let's talk about your book and getting you on the stages of the world in this coming year. It's your time. Let's grab the mic and let's do it together.